One of the most powerful things that I've found throughout the journey of breaking up and getting divorced is recognizing that it's a marathon, not a race. It will take as long as you need it to take in order to work through and process what you need to process. I mean, we're all different. It's the same reason why we wouldn't all choose to date the same people, the same type of people. We all, have our own path and have our own journeys. And I've just found this entire experience to be quite intense, yeah, but I don't want to sound like I'm being insensitive, but like it's quite fascinating, like when you can take a step back and look at yourself and look at why you made the choices that you made, why you why you might have taken so long to recognize that there are problems in certain situations in life. I mean, I'm not just talking about my situation. I'm talking about anything like staying in a job for too long, or not just basically not knowing when to move forward and when to make the changes in your life. I think too often we end up compromising because change is just such an effort. I mean, it's hard, it's painful, yes, especially when emotions are involved, but there's just such an intensity that comes with making that decision. For me, it was just such an inner conflict. It was incredibly painful. And I filmed videos, during the course of that time, and if I feel the need to eventually load it and share it, I will. But for now, it's just so that I can look back and see what I was like and where I've come from in the journey and the growth that's come from that. And apparently there's a massive eclipse coming now, but for those of you who worship Shiva, it's also got something to do with that. And I don't know if anyone knows much about Shiva, but one of my friends practices that faith in Hinduism and Buddhism, and he was just saying it's Shiva the destroyer, that is what Shiva represents, and it's all about stripping away the things that no longer serve you, and to make way for new beginnings and definite endings. So I've been through enough of these in the last year to see the power and the force that comes from these new beginning and endings kind of doomsday alignments and these astrology kind of events, astrological events. So I've been through enough of them to see the power and the force of them when you try and cling on to something you really shouldn't. But yeah, I've moved house 4 times in 2 months, mostly because the first 2 times were house sitting, but the second 2 ended up just being places that I chose to stay in. And I'm not saying that they were wrong for me to stay in. I'm just saying that perhaps my perception of how long I would be in those places was a bit off. Every step of the way, I've embraced the journey, even if I've had a sort of teary tantrum in the process of having to acknowledge and accept and let go. I've definitely embraced the journey and embraced the path and just kept on going forward. I mean, every time I get knocked down, I kind of just keep moving forward, even if it's a crawl. And there's definitely something to be said about the strength that we as human beings can have within ourselves, and we definitely take that strength for granted, and we underestimate ourselves. I've had a lot of people tell me how strong they think I am, and they admire me and they're proud of me for the steps I've taken in order to make the changes I needed to in my life, and the decisions that I've had to make. And they're no small feats, they're no small decisions by any means, but it feels really weird for people to say that it's brave, and that it takes courage. I mean, like, I can appreciate the statement because of how hard it was, so I do in a sense agree with it, but I also know that if you have no other choice, I mean, if your only other choice is to remain in something, in a situation that doesn't make you happy, and you're not making the other person happy, so why are you doing that to each other? You know, like, in relationships, I think we worry more about hurting the other person if we want to leave. We worry about that so much that we end up quietly suffering, and they're not a fool. They know that that you're not yourself, and in the attempt to not hurt them, you're actually doing more damage. Although I do believe that there's a certain sense of detachment and healing that comes with not letting go straight away. I think you kind of are able to make sure that this is what you really want, because once you opt out of a relationship, it's very hard to go back. You've already hurt the person, there's mistrust. I battle to relate to people who break up constantly. I can't relate to that mindset. It's like you're either in or you're out, and if you're out, well, then you're out, but don't come back. You know, I don't believe in going back. Yeah, people change. Maybe, you know, years down the line you'll get to be able to be together again. Maybe your timing was just, you know, a bit off, but generally speaking, and I do speak generally with most of my posts, so don't go, oh, well, I didn't have that happen to me, so you're wrong. I'm talking from my experience now, and from what I've witnessed with my friends and family. Generally speaking, going back is far worse. You know, you tend to say it's okay that you did all these things to me, or that I did all these things to you, and I'm going to accept you back regardless of you doing that. So I do battle with the idea of going back into a relationship or into a situation like that. But yeah, this is more just a little bit of a post about my mood at the moment, and about my situation and where I'm at, and I have immense gratitude for the way that my situation has played out. It's been completely amicable. My ex has been really as supportive as one can be during something like this, and I'd like to think that I have been too. And I implore everyone who does go through some sort of big change, whether it's leaving your job or ending your relationship or whatever it is, all these endings, you know, do it with love in your heart. There's no reason to get angry, to try and then try and destroy one another. There's no reason to leave on a bad note or to burn bridges. Take the ego out of it and be kind to one another, because at some point or another you were happy in that job, you were happy in that relationship, you were giving to one another of yourselves, and you cannot take that you were doing for one another and strip it. You can't tear it down and deny it, because that would be to dishonor what you had shared, you know, either you know, intimately if it was a relationship, or professionally if it was a business career. Either way, just make sure you respect those in your lives, even if you're planning on ending, you know, a connection with somebody. You need to remember one thing that we as human beings have the right to choose to be, and that is to respect and to honor one another. So yeah, always have love in your heart. It heals everything, and yeah, it helps you move forward, and without too much pain and without too much suffering, and too much baggage. I hope this message resonates with you, and I hope I don't upset anyone in my personal life about doing this post. But I do feel like that by doing this post I am honoring my past and acknowledging it as well, even if it is coming to a close or has come to a close. I do feel like it's necessary to still honor it, because it makes you who you are today, and I'm pretty happy with who I'm turning out to be. So I hope it helps you.